The government yesterday stunned the markets with a lower than expected fiscal deficit, a full 80 basis points lower than the deficit for FY24. Much of this is not because of expenditure cuts, but because of revenue doing very well. So we have with us the Revenue Secretary Sanjay Malhotra. Thank you very much, Mr. Malhotra.
My pleasure.
Well, that really is the first question. I mean, you have done extremely well on revenues, a buoyancy of 1.4 times I have not seen in my reporting career. What accounted for it?
Obviously, you know, it's a combined effort, the taxpayers and the tax authorities. So we need to thank our taxpayers as well for it. A lot of it is, of course, due to the use of technology, third-party information coming in. And also, I would say, you know, a lot of it is also because of the simplification, the rationalization of taxes that have happened, you know, over the years. So you make things simple, you remove disputes, you get taxes today, rather than, you know, hope to get larger tax revenues in the hope of getting larger tax revenues on a future date. You don't end up getting anything. So a lot of it is basically because of, and the trust, you know, that has been placed by the government, do less of, you know, self-certification.
Yes.
Return filing has been made easier. So it's a combination of the efforts of the last 4 or 5 years that are beginning to pay the dividends.
Okay, but in that case, why not assume a better buoyancy for FY25? Why bring it down so much? 1.4 comes down to 1.1. Why?
You can't expect the benefits, you know, to continue year on year on year or on year. There is as much, you know, as one can actually expect, you know, technology and the various measures that the government has taken to do. Okay. And so I think we would be overplaying the effects of the measures that we would have taken, and we would really, you know, be not realistic. It is a very realistic number that we have given. And we hope to achieve it.
When it comes to the numbers, sir, if we see the breakup of the revised estimates, 19.45 is the number on the direct tax side. Also, you see that the numbers, that is the budget estimates for the coming fiscal, that are also about 21.9. How do you see that personal income tax for the first time we are seeing overtaking the collections of the corporate tax? Till now, they were a laggard. Last year, they were trying to be neck to neck. And now, this number is going to overtake the collections of corporate tax. How are you going to expand the tax base to get more people under the personal income tax? Because
and more importantly, it's not even fair. I mean, corporates should pay more.
Exactly. I mean, that's the idea how we have been, that the corporates have to take up the burden more as compared to the personal.
I don't know why you say, you know, that the corporate tax should contribute more. Let's keep in mind that a lot of the income that is taxed and which accrues as personal income tax is also on account of companies, you know, when they pay dividends, when the people, you know, earn their salaries, you know, from the corporates. So those incomes are also, you know, getting taxed. So there is a double taxation, as you are all aware, you know, on companies when they pay taxes and on the dividends which are part of their profits. So there is already, you know, a double taxation on companies. Coming to the point, very relevant, which is really a matter of happiness, you know, for all of us, that personal income tax is doing so well. The growth there is much more than, you know, on the corporate tax side. And this is precisely where, you know, the various measures that we have taken, whether it is use of technology, which I mentioned, or the rationalization and simplification, because the burden is actually, you know, borne more by the individuals rather than the corporates. And so that's why, you know, we see more benefits there. I mean, otherwise, I don't find any other reason.
But expanding the tax base, because we are talking about the tax to GDP ratio, and that has been an exercise that the department has been undertaking to expand the tax base so that only then there can be a reduction in taxes. And you know, reduction in taxes has been a demand that comes forever. Whenever there is a budget, everyone, the common man is actually waiting to hear out the part B, that what are the tax changes on the personal side. I know you had sweetened the deal last year on the new regime, but yes, there was still an ask that again there will be something since this is a vote on account budget.
Yeah, so as you have said, personal income tax and corporate income tax, both the tax base, first of all, let's come to the tax base. The tax base has doubled for GST since its implementation, you're all aware. So from 67 lakh to more than 140 lakh is more than double over a period of less than 7 years. And similarly on the income tax side also, the FM gave in her speech, 2.4 times is the tax base now vis-a-vis about 10 years ago, less than 10 years. So the tax base has certainly widened, it has grown. As for exemptions, last year you yourself mentioned, we gave, the Honorable Finance Minister, gave a lot of reliefs for the new taxation scheme. And corporate tax rates are already, very reasonable. 2019, they were reduced.
Mr. Malhotra, on a more serious note, the China plus one ambition is very much there, and plus the PLI schemes are taking off. It takes time to acquire land and go ahead. So there is a genuine ask that not for 1 year, but can it be extended for a few years so that we genuinely capture more manufacturing units?
Exactly.
Isn't that a thought?
So exactly, I mean, the ask is there, of course, as you are saying, because you are the voice of the people. So
no, the ask was if you had extended it, then by the time the main budget came, it could have been debated. Wasn't that a thought in the government's mind?
See, as you have rightly said, investments take a number of years actually to fructify, on the ground, from the conceptualization stage to implementation to financial closure, and then, getting them to operationalize. It's a multi-year project. It's not a one-year project. And this is a vote on account. And it was made very, very clear, 2019, that we are giving you 4 years. Otherwise, there's no certainty. Right?
So, but PLIs are yet to take off, and new manufacturing units are coming up in that. That is why they were looking that, now that the PLIs are becoming more attractive, corporates have started evaluating them more seriously, and now they are in the mood to set up the units, because even the corporates were coming up with the after effects of COVID. Definitely last year there was an extension, but yes, another extension was warranted. That's what the private sector was looking at, given the government's push towards private sector investment, and this would have meant both investment and more employment. But this demand continues to remain.
What's your view on it? Yeah.
No, so as I said, taxation is only a very small part of it. I think one has to look at it, holistically. So there is, the PLI scheme, there are, the whole ease of doing business, that the government has been not only talking about, but actually implementing. Now, of course, the World Bank does not come up with the ease of doing business reports, but we grew, we moved up the ladder insofar as ease of doing business is concerned. And I think those are more important factors than taxes, really, to get in the investments. And the ecosystem today, I think, insofar as India is concerned, whether it is China plus one and even otherwise, is looking very bright. And so we are very hopeful that even with these tax rates, which are very, very reasonable, 22% of tax rates for an economy of our size, given what comparable economies have, is very attractive. And we are very hopeful that even with these tax rates, given the improvement that we have done, on the ease of doing business front, and the other schemes, that are again, there to support the industry, we should continue to get more investments.
Well, actually, this time FDI has disappointed. It's a worldwide phenomenon as well. The excise cut on fuel, I mean, you'll have actually reduced your fiscal deficit from 5.8 to from 5.9 to 5.8, which means you had elbow room. Why not a fuel excise cut?
My excise duty revenues are going down this year vis-a-vis last year. I thought you would be asking me as to why, they are going down.
Sir, the individual is paying income tax. We are making up for it. So anyway, wasn't that
individuals are paying more?
Wasn't it debated because that would also have an inflation impact?
No, it was not debated. We had an excise cut, you are aware, in June last year. The prices have not, the international prices that is, have not increased thereafter. They have only reduced thereafter. So any thoughts of an excise cut are actually, I think, more of wishful thinking than based on any logic.
On the customs duty side, taking away from the excise, industry has been waiting for a rejig on the duties because they see that a lot of inverted duty structures have been created, a lot of parallel structures are there because of FTAs, etc. And India is losing its competitiveness. There's a whole host of lists that has been submitted to the Revenue Department by Commerce time and again, other departments also. We saw a correction on the mobile components.
So let me say that this is an ongoing exercise, and this was really an interim budget, and so that's why we did not do a major review as we should be doing, because FM is on record to say that all the duties, especially the exemptions that we have given, they would be reviewed periodically, 2 years, and so there were certain exemptions, certain duties which were to be reviewed this year. We did not review them because it was an interim budget. So this is, as I mentioned, an ongoing exercise. Certainly wherever there is a case for rationalization of the duties, you saw it on the mobile phone components, you saw it on in January early last month on the gold findings. Wherever there is a need to rationalize, we do that on an ongoing.
You'll wait for the July budget for an overall review?
Yes,
Industry
certainly
should be hopeful on that?
Yes, certainly they should be hopeful that whatever are the review for the custom duties, they were not looked into it because it was an interim budget. There may be merit in some of them, but we have not looked into them.
On electric vehicles, because there's a major ask for a duty cut on electric vehicles.
I have not received any such proposal for electric vehicles that keeps finding mention in the media. So I do not have any specific proposal or response there too.
The other expectation was that capital gains regime would be rationalized across equity, debt and other assets. Is that even a thought? I mean, debt was of course rejigged considerably last year. Any second thoughts on that, and will we come back to a 10-15% regime?
So let me say, that whatever needs to be done to simplify, and the Honorable Finance Minister is on record to say in the budget also, in her budget speech, that the focus really has been, on taxpayer services. And when we mean, taxpayer services, it includes, rationalization and simplification of tax rates. Now, capital gains tax, you are right. There are broadly, two sets of rates for long-term capital gains. One is 10% and the other one, is 20%, seemingly higher than, 10%. But actually, it is very similar to 10% because there is the benefit of indexation due to inflation that is given to the asset classes, real estate, etc.
So debt mutual funds, we don't get that. Debt mutual funds, that was removed last time. And now you are your normal income tax bracket.
Debt mutual fund should not be considered equivalent to equity. This is what, otherwise then we start comparing them even with FDs. So FD is treated as interest.
This was a banking sector ask.
So a debt mutual fund, really it is a debt.
Okay.
And so it should be treated as
So it's
that.
not on the cards to
It
change.
is certainly not on the cards, but yes, what you are saying, if there are places where we need to rationalize, and I'm not saying, you know, well, it only with respect to long-term capital gains tax, but even other provisions, we have not had a look at them, and certainly, you know, we would be having a close look at them, and at appropriate times, when we are ready, and when people are ready, also, we will be having a look, and we will be certainly simplifying things for the common man and for the tax authorities as well, so that there are lesser disputes, fewer disputes, and we do believe that, you know, they lead to, as I mentioned, you know, higher taxes.
I have just
higher
one more
revenues.
question, sir. The OECD has already set in motion this global minimum tax
Right,
regime.
right.
I mean, we benefit from it. We haven't even started the process. When are you expecting to start the conversation and take it forward? Will it come in the next budget?
Right. So again, you know, this is a vote on account. First of all, let me clarify that the contours of the two-pillar solution have not been have not been finalized. So let them be finalized, and as soon as, you know, they are finalized, we would be certainly having a look at them and see what is best in the interest of the country, and taking a call on them, and making whatever changes are required in case, you know, we have to implement them, in case we decide to implement them.
In general, we will make more money, isn't it?
No, see, unless we have the final contours, it's difficult to say, because it's yet not been finalized. So we really do not know as to whether, you know, we make money or not. And in case we are going to lose to other countries, then obviously, you know, we would not like to jump and implement it in a hurry. So the contours are yet to be finalized. Let them be finalized. Other countries have sought time, and we will take a call, you know, as soon as you know, the whole solution is finalized.
Taking a cue from here, crypto tax, another issue that India is debating globally, and India is waiting that whatever is the decision that has been taken globally, that's what India will also adopt. What is the view that India personally has, that when it comes to taxation of cryptos, both on the direct and indirect taxes, we already have a TDS, TCS regime in direct tax, but indirect taxes still is not able to find clarity on that. Where are we?
Yeah, so we have not given it a thought insofar as this is, first of all, this is for, you know, the council. The GST part is, you know, for the council to take a call on whether or not to tax cryptos. Today there is no, you know, GST on crypto. So do we have it or not? That has not yet been discussed by the council. So let's wait, you know, for the council to take a call on that. But I think more important perhaps is your call on, you know, the regulation related to crypto, which actually DA is dealing with us. Insofar as taxation is concerned, our tax rules are quite clear, and we are not intending to make any changes.
Okay. While on the issue online gaming, you are on record to say that that 28% retrospective is working, is something you all will persist. Do you have any estimates of how much it might earn, you know, in the coming years?
So this is again, you know, an example where we have brought in certainty, because there were disputes, and this is again, you know, this is a council decision. This is not, you know, what central government or I am saying. The council, I think, took a very, very brave and a very practical approach, because this was all marred in disputes. And so going forward, they said, okay, well, whatever it is, we'll decide. Let the courts decide. But going forward from October, let's have, you know, a very clear set of rules for taxation. They decided those taxation rules, and today it's been 3 months. I collected the data yesterday for the 3 months, and we find that we have a five-fold jump to 6 times. So the revenues, which was 600 crore in the 3 months preceding these changes, this have become, you know, about almost 3,500 crore. Almost 3,500 crore, which means a revenue of about 10,000 to 12,000 crore annually. Annually is hopeful. I mean, we are hopeful to get that. So that is where, we are on.
But what
on
about the
line
retrospective part? Because the court hasn't
That is
taken up the
still- That is
SLP.
still in the courts. The council, it's not for me to say, what happens in the courts, and as a consequence thereof, what the council decides. I would only say that the council has been very practical in its approach and keeping, the overall interest of both the industry and revenues at the same time. And so I am hopeful that even for the retrospective part, there will be a good solution, whether through the courts or whether through the council.
So you're looking at an amicable solution as a key to that.
I'm not saying anything.
No, can we
I am
assume
only
therefore
saying-
that you're also exploring an out-of-court settlement?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm only saying that I am hopeful, given, the position of, right now the judiciary has not come out, with its verdict.
Yes,
We really do not know, what the final
Notices are worth several
judgment-
thousands of crores.
final judgment of the judiciary is going to be. But obviously, one cannot expect to get more revenues than one can afford to pay or one has perhaps earned.
Exactly.
Isn't it? That is something which is totally out of the realms of possibility.
Yes.
So this is what I am saying, that whatever solution is not for me, but I am hopeful, given the track record of the judiciary and of the council, in case the judiciary takes a view which is perhaps not workable. So I am very hopeful, given the track record, that we will be able to find out a good solution. It has happened. Maybe it has taken time. Things can take time, but things do work out.
My last question, sir.
Justice may be delayed, but it will not be denied.
Thank you.
My last question on the GST collections. What is the average that you're looking at? Because the monthly
10%
collection
increase,
numbers.
11% increase. You work it out. 167 lakh is what we are at today, and now 11.5% is what is projected. So what does it work out to? About 185 or so. That should be the numbers on an average, hopefully. 180 to 185 is what should, going forward, not tomorrow. Don't expect it tomorrow, but
Coming
over
months.
over a period of time, hopefully we should get that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much
My
for talking
pleasure.
to us.
My pleasure.
Thank you for watching us on CNBC TV18. For all news and updates, subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch us on all social media platforms.